Welcome to the Aquarius Podcast. Welcome to the Aquarius Podcast. Today we're talking about the new moon in Scorpio. Let me tell you, this new moon in Scorpio has teeth. Okay? She is here to bite. Okay? This is not love and light. This new moon in Scorpio is about to expose the truths that you've been hiding, and your nervous system already knows it. You can feel it. This is how we're going to have this conversation today. First, we're going to talk about the emotional landscape of this transit. Then we're going to talk about the emotional and cognitive drivers for this transit, meaning what is happening with us psychologically and emotionally. Then we're going to talk about the fears that each zodiac sign has with this scorpionic energy. And I will couple that with some confessions and affirmations that will help create a better emotional image for you. Then we will move on to talk about emotionally intelligent practices that would actually help you feel more grounded. And then lastly, we're going to wrap this up with some insights and action items, things that you can actually do to better manage this transit and get the most out of this energy. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started by talking about the emotional landscape of this new moon. This new moon in Scorpio is happening at the 28th degree, which is again the Cancer degree. So the money issues are going to be felt throughout this entire new moon transit. This new moon in Scorpio transit is a psychological demand for full internal honesty. The sun in Scorpio, the moon in Scorpio, Mercury in Scorpio, Venus in Scorpio, and Lilith in Scorpio are forcing the issue. All of this Scorpio energy is fusing together in a late Scorpio degree, creating a state where you can literally feel your thoughts before you even think them. This emotional clarity is going to feel stabilizing 1 minute and literally terrifying the next because there's nowhere to hide. You cannot hide from yourself. The emotional atmosphere is going to have 3 layers. There's intensity that you cannot dilute. As you know, Scorpio is ruled by Mars, the planet of destruction. So it comes with fire. Truth you cannot unsee because Scorpio is ruled by Pluto, the planet of transformation. Pluto is also located in the darkest part of our solar system. It's all the way in the back, far, far away from the sun. So any energy in that location of our solar system is going to expose. And the truth that is going to be exposed is truth that we have to face, okay? And lastly, instability. Scorpio is a water sign. Water means emotionally unstable. If you have water at the sun, moon, or rising, I know you know the emotional issues you've had with managing your mood. Instability that you can't predict is part of the water journey. The opposition to Uranus in this case is the emotional electric fence. It's going to heighten our sensitivity to anything that threatens our autonomy, our authenticity, or our sense of control. Even small disruptions are going to feel loaded with significance because there's an undertone here of feeling hypervigilant. You know, what's about to change? What's coming forward? Am I ready for it? Can I deal with it? Meanwhile, the trine to Jupiter, Saturn, and Neptune filter the intensity through wisdom, structure, and intuition. It's not about chaos for the sake of chaos. This is pressure cooking. This pressure is designed to expose the emotional patterns that you've been avoiding that are keeping you in a state of imbalance. Prior to this new moon in Scorpio, we had a full moon in Taurus. Taurus was calling you back to earthy energy, to grounded energy, to predictability, to safety. Taurus was asking you to let go of what does not make you feel stable. Some of you listened, some of you didn't. Those of you that did not, unfortunately, you have to learn the hard way because this pressure is going to expose patterns that you need to break. And yes, it's going to feel emotionally violent and difficult, but it's necessary. And at the end of it, you'll be better because of it. So here are 3 prompts to help you with regards to journaling some of this process for you. Number 1, what am I emotionally guarding myself up against? What am I emotionally arming myself against? Number 2, where do I confuse intensity with connection? Scorpio as a zodiac sign is naturally attracted to chaos and drama and toxicity. And oftentimes they think, ooh, if it's exciting, then it's good, then it's healthy, then it's love. And love isn't chaos. So it's time to separate those two. And then lastly, number 3, what truth am I finally mature enough to hear? Now, moving on to aspect analysis and some of the emotional and cognitive drivers behind the energy of this new moon. So we have a Sun, Moon, and Mercury connection, right? And we have that right along with Venus and Lilith. Focusing on the Sun, Moon, and Mercury, this is going to create emotional intelligence. If you're self-aware, this is going to be a beautiful time for you. Emotional distortions will be triggering, which means you're being called to do some work, to examine, to explore, to go deeper. The accuracy here lies in your willingness to pause before reacting. We want to face the discomfort with courage. It's not about saving face. It's about allowing the truth to simply be. The gift here is about coherence. Manifestation requires energetic coherence. If you say you want stability and peace in your life, then you possibly cannot also be nurturing chaos and drama. Because stability and peace and chaos and drama don't go together. This new moon is asking you to recognize the gift, the danger, and the reflection. The gift is the internal coherence. That's the goal. The danger is believing that we have a good read on the situation that we actually don't have a good read on. You don't want to be absolutely sure of anything emotionally if there's room for mistakes. There is no research study in this world that would tell you anything is 100%. There's always room for mistakes. And Scorpio, because they're a fixed sign, tends to get themselves locked into truths. And some truths, many truths, are negotiable. Now, here's a reflection cue. Am I interpreting this correctly? Or am I reacting to my triggers, which is what I'm feeling at the moment? Moving on to this Uranus opposition, as you know, Pluto is in Aquarius. Okay, Aquarius is ruled by Uranus. Uranus is currently in Taurus. Okay, Taurus at the 29th degree, which is a Leo degree. Taurus, again, is about stability. So this is going to hit your nervous system first. Your mind, your consciousness, your psyche is going to feel destabilized. It's going to expose to you areas of your life where you're being emotionally rigid. If you've been forcing yourself into old identities that no longer serve you, this as well, the shell is going to start to crack. All of that fake bravado is going to start to crack. Disruptions in our lives are not punishments. They're pressure points. They're showing us exactly where we've outgrown our coping skills. So it's time for us to reflect on ourselves. Is my fear telling the truth about what's really going on? Or am I just trying to protect the old version of me that feels safer to me, even though it isn't safer for my life? Okay? Moving on to the Jupiter-Saturn trine, this is your emotional adult. Jupiter broadens our perspective and Saturn anchors our reaction. Have you ever met a Capricorn or Aquarius? Aquarius can get a little, because they're also ruled by Uranus, but a Capricorn is a true Saturnian. These people underreact to everything because Saturn requires that we anchor our emotional reactions, and Jupiter makes everything bigger. So what's happening here is that we're getting the capacity to separate our impulses from our truths. We're getting the opportunity to be a bit more objective. We have to sit with the complexity of life without folding. It's not about having the right answer. It's not about putting things in the box. It's about experiencing the full breadth of the truth. So here is a reflection cue. How can I respond with integrity instead of impulse? Integrity requires ownership. Impulse is often what we go to when we want to separate ourselves from acknowledging what we did. Moving on to Neptune trine, our intuition is going to be heightened, and so is our longing for fantasy, for protection, for a dream world where we can escape all of it. The accurate read comes from grounding, not faking. It's not about drifting. Ask yourself, is this your intuition or is this wishful thinking? Are you truly connected with your gut, with your heart, with your soul? Or is this a fantasy that you've created in your head around what you truly desire? Pluto sextile is bringing in psychological leverage. Pluto gives us access to the root cause of our problem, not just the symptoms. And that's why Scorpio is so intense, because for a Scorpio to truly heal, they need to get to the bottom of it. They need to get to the root. And that takes some digging. This is why shadow work is code word for Scorpio. If you're willing to look, you can actually change the pattern. Instead of just performing self-awareness, you can actually behave as a self-aware person, and that requires self-control. So here's a reflection cue. What's the deeper pattern underneath your fear? This fear that I'm feeling, what's underneath it? What am I afraid of? Moving on to Venus trine North Node. Relational clarity is going to get a spotlight. For those of you that are in a relationship, you're going to be able to see your relationships exactly for what they are. The fantasy is gone. Now it's just raw truths. Okay? You're going to be drawn towards what aligns with your emotional nature, not your emotional history. So it doesn't matter if we've been in a relationship for 30 years or 10 years or 500 years. I need to feel emotionally safe today, right now. So whatever it is that I need to do so that I have that emotional safety right now is what I'm invested in. Because remember, this new moon is at the Cancer degree, okay? So it's about emotional safety connected to our relationship with our mother. What our desires are craving right now is authenticity. It's not fantasy. Lastly, finishing off with Lilith and Scorpio, there is a desire here that is raw, that is unfiltered. And this desire, because it's in Scorpio, is going to have shadows. Scorpio is full of shadows. Emotional truths that feel too raw to admit are going to be truths that you cannot pretend to not see. This is where you're asked to stop lying, okay? Scorpio is big on lying. Very, very big on it because there's a lot of shame. There's a lot of shame here with Scorpio. And Scorpio who does not know how to stop lying to themselves about what they want is a menace to society, literally, because they will externalize every negative emotion that they have about themselves onto everybody else. So it's time for you to stop lying to yourself about what you really want, to stop lying to yourself about what you're afraid of, and to stop lying to yourself about what it is you are avoiding right now. What can you do right now to get what you want? What do you want right now? What is it that you really want that you're pretending that you don't want? This is what I mean by shadow work. I need you to explore these questions. Now let's move on to some house-specific confessions and affirmations for each of the rising sign. Aries rising, the confession is, I keep acting strong so I don't have to admit that I'm afraid of losing control. The affirmation, I can be powerful without being armored. Taurus rising, the confession is, I want connection, but I brace for betrayal, even when nobody's hurting me. Affirmation, I let trust build slowly instead of assuming the worst. Gemini rising confession, I keep fixing things so I don't have to feel how tired I really am. The affirmation, my worth isn't measured by how much I hold together. Cancer rising, the confession is, I censor my desires to avoid feeling exposed. The affirmation, expressing myself is safer than pretending I don't care. Leo rising, the confession is, part of me still believes my past defines how lovable I am. The affirmation, I give myself the emotional security I keep longing for externally. Virgo rising, the confession is, I downplay my feelings to keep the peace, then resent being misunderstood. The affirmation is, my truth is valid, even if it is complicated, and complicate things. Libra rising, the confession is I act self-sufficient to avoid feeling like a burden. The affirmation, receiving support strengthens, not weakens me. Scorpio rising, the confession is I'm afraid that if people saw the real me, they'd have too much power over me. The affirmation, authenticity strengthens my boundaries. Sagittarius rising, the confession is I avoid my feelings by staying busy or philosophical. The affirmation, I acknowledge emotional truth before it turns into crisis. Capricorn rising, the confession is I fear disappointing others, so I hide what I actually want. The affirmation is my desires deserve space in the life that I am building. Aquarius rising, the confession is I keep success at arm's length, so I won't feel trapped by expectations. The affirmation is ambition feels better when I bring my full self with me. And lastly, Pisces rising, the confession is I cling to familiar beliefs so I don't have to confront hard truths. The affirmation, I grow by questioning the stories I tell about myself that no longer fit. Now, on to some emotional practices that can actually assist you with feeling more grounded during this new moon in Scorpio. The first thing is we want to create a mindset shift within us. One of the most helpful ways to do that with Scorpio energy is to treat discomfort as a signal, not as a threat. Scorpio often reacts to discomfort with warlike energy, very similar to Aries. Both of them react to discomfort with aggression. Taurus, the sister of Scorpio, reacts to discomfort with lack of movement. Scorpio needs to tap more into this Taurus energy. When Taurus is uncomfortable, they withdraw. They become more still. They're stonewall, okay? So assume your first impulse is protection, not truth, because you're always going to react to discomfort as a threat. So you should be telling yourself, even though I feel threatened, I know this is a lie because I'm actually safe. I'm simply feeling uncomfortable. These are the inner conversations that every Scorpio should be having with themselves whenever they feel discomfort. And this is going to be true for all of us during this time. So let complexity exist without needing to resolve it immediately. That's what it means to be a master at water energy, because water energy is always moving. It's never static. So you have to bring the static energy to it when it's necessary. Okay? Secondly, emotional regulation strategies. It's important to slow down your reactions when your system is overstimulated, especially under Uranus. Write down the fear, then write down the evidence for its truth, and then compare it. I'm afraid of this. What evidence do I have that this is actually happening? Or that this will happen? Nobody knows the future, so this is just speculative work, right? But that this is happening should ground you in reality. So then compare the two of them. Anchoring the body is also another way to ground yourself. Unclench your jaw. Soften your belly. Lower your shoulders. Lay down on your back and just simply practice deep breathing, even if just for 5 minutes. It's going to help you pull in this Taurus energy of being still. Next, relational awareness. As I mentioned earlier, this new moon is bringing a focus back to relationships because all of these placements, especially Venus, is also in Scorpio. So before reacting to anything in your relationship, it's important to ask yourself, what emotion is underneath the story that I am telling? What is the emotion? What is the feeling? Is it shame? Is it fear? Is it anxious? Is it sad? Is it surprised? Is it grateful? Is it joyful? Is it hopeful? What is the feeling? Notice when you're feeling something and when you're telling the story, when you're running it in your head, your goal, part of your mastery, is to identify the feeling, because you can't fix an emotional problem without emotional tools, okay? For Scorpio, most of their issues are emotional because they're a water sign. Remember, water means emotional disease. So we cannot talk about emotional stability if we can't even identify and name the basic emotion that we're feeling in that moment. So practice that. Also notice when you're expecting someone to read your mind. This is another issue with water signs. They are so intuitive that they expect the world to also be able to read their intuition, and no one can ever do it. And this is the fallacy of water energy, is that they don't have boundaries. They assume if that's how I am, that's how you are. It's like, no, everybody is themselves. And you don't get to project who you are onto the world. So if you need something, ask for it. Practice being direct without being defensive. I'm feeling X. I need Y. Do you see how simple that is? I am feeling neglected. I am feeling sad. I am feeling scared. I need a hug. Do you see that? I am feeling scared. I need a hug. Try that. Instead of being emotionally manipulative and then lashing out at your partner who didn't realize that you've been resentful for 3 months about something that they did, you can actually be a grown up and use feelings words and speak into existence what it is that you desire. And because they love you, they will do it for you. Okay. Now, lastly, let's move on to talking about self-reflection. Here are some more prompts for journaling. What am I protecting by staying silent? Where am I copying an old emotional pattern? Where am I copying and reenacting an old emotional pattern from my family trauma? Scorpio means family trauma. Scorpio means generational family trauma, because this new moon is coupled with Cancer energy, which is ancestral trauma. There's a lot of stuck toxicity here that we need to let go of. Okay? That's really what this is about. It's about getting a clean look at your toxic habits that were inherited from your home life, from your childhood. So, here's the last question. What part of me is trying to evolve? It's time to grow up. Moving on to the last section of our podcast today, which is about actionable items that you can take to best manage this new moon. This new moon in Scorpio is asking for emotional adulthood. Not just performance, but actually embodying what it means to be a mature adult. And mature adults at base level have control. You know, toddlers do not, but adults do. This transit is demanding emotional honesty with yourself about what you feel, why you react the way that you react, and what emotional labor you're avoiding, which is rooted in your childhood trauma, or family trauma, or bloodline trauma. This transit is exposing emotional inconsistencies, you know, wanting to look all put together, all buttoned up, all in control, all powerful. But then when you look underneath the hood, it's all just a mess, okay? It's about acknowledging the difference between how things look and how things are. It's also offering you tools to integrate that discrepancy with clarity and compassion. This is where shadow work comes in. Shadow work is about owning the motives behind our feelings. Owning the motives behind our feelings. Own the motives you'd rather hide. Jealousy, fear, desire, lust, control issues. Own the motives behind these experiences. Recognize when you settled for intensity instead of intimacy. Intimacy is about emotional labor. Intensity is about emotional chaos. They're not the same. You have to let yourself want what you want without shame. And if you truly want what you want, then you have to be willing to work for it. Your behavior has to indicate that this is what you want. Energetic congruence is so important to manifestation. You cannot say you want something and your behavior be in complete opposition of the frequency and the energetic vibration that you say that you want. It doesn't make sense. I'm going to leave you with some actionable steps that you can take under this new moon in Scorpio to bring you in energetic alignment with the universe. You could have one conversation, one honest conversation with somebody that you've been avoiding out of shame or out of fear of conflict. you could actually initiate an honest discussion to clear the air. Another actionable item is you could actually commit to releasing one behavior that keeps you emotionally small. There are some childish things that you're currently doing that do not align with your level of wisdom and maturity. It's time for you to decide that certain behaviors are beneath you. Next, commit to one boundary that honors your emotional truth. Identify one boundary that you will consistently uphold to keep yourself emotionally safe. And then lastly, make one decision that aligns with who you're becoming, not who you were. Just one. To summarize, this new moon in Scorpio transit with these 5 Scorpio placements is not nice. It has teeth. It is accurate. It is incisive. It is surgical. It is transformative. Emotional maturity doesn't come from staying calm and pretending not to feel the fire when we're burning. It comes from staying conscious. We feel the fire and we activate coping skills to manage the fire before we take the action of responding to the situation, okay? And this new moon in Scorpio is giving us the perfect storm for us to practice emotional stability in the midst of chaos. I hope this was helpful for you. Happy new moon in Scorpio. This new moon is going to feel a little bit different because it is in Scorpio. It is going to be about exposure. As you know, Scorpio is a sign of exposing secrets. So all the secrets are coming to light. So it's going to have a little bit of a full moon energy under a new moon. So grounding is going to be very, very important. Did you enjoy this podcast reading? If so, drop your rising sign and let me know in the comment section. What did you think of your confession and affirmation? Thank you so much for listening. I'll catch you on the next moon transit, which is on December 4th for the full moon in Gemini. Looking forward to connecting with you then. Happy new moon in Scorpio. You can book your astrology reading at intuitivehealing.com. You can also watch videos at Intuitive Healing here on YouTube for Astrology 101 content. Listen to the Aquarius podcast on Spotify, as well as here on YouTube for your horoscope. If you're interested in astrology and love connections, you can visit at Styled Under Libra. And of course, for health and wellness and holistic healing, visit at Styled Under Virgo for all of your astrology content. Thanks so much for watching.